everyone. Thanks for joining today. Clayton, Kast, head of growth over here at Draft.dev. We focus on technical marketing content creation along with video tutorials. We're going to be focusing today's monthly webinar on how to create effective video content for developers, specifically like the strategies around crafting those videos, common challenges in creating dev-oriented video content, and then practical tips to help you guys to apply this within your own marketing strategies. We're joined today by two friends of ours and absolute pros in this area. Kevin Blanco is a senior DevRel advocate at Appsmith. He has, in his own right, created probably hundreds, if not thousands of videos at this point. Definitely go check out his own material. Along with Jake Ward, co-founder of Data Protocol, which is an agency in our space who specializes and developer-focused video content creation. So thank both of you for joining today. And with that, let's start off with our first round of questions. Just so everyone knows the structure today, we're going to use the first 45 minutes to walk through some of those talking points I just mentioned. And in the last 15 minutes, we're actually going to do a Q&A. Definitely take advantage of the Zoom Q&A functionality. We'll get to that towards the end of today's hour. It looks like Jake may be video off, but still there. So Kevin, I may start with you on our first question here today. So,
okay, I see Jake just in case.
What was that?
I see Jake just in case.
Oh, okay, got it.
I see his video, awesome. But it's okay. Let's do it.
Cool. We'll get it going. With video, I feel like it's sort of like when written content first started blowing up in the dev marketing space, similar to video. Everyone wants to do it, but they're not exactly sure how to go about it and the intricacies of doing it with our audience. So with most marketing developers, you sort of have to throw out the typical consumer or B2B marketing playbook and have to tailor it towards our very skeptical and educated audience. So just to start at a high level, what's unique about creating video, specifically the technically oriented visuals like developers? Kevin, I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, totally. So, well, first of all, welcome everyone who is joining or watching this afterwards. If you have any questions already, put it on the chat, or if you're watching afterwards, also let us know in the chat or the comments. In general terms, making videos for developers is a bit different from making videos for other type of audiences because developers are very unique. And so the videos have to be as well very unique. Probably across the conversation today, I'll say this multiple times, but I want to really go deep into that topic because for me, the most important thing is to tailor your videos to the developer journey. For me, the developer journey is like my Bible, and it's always the reference when I have to do a video is, first of all, for which part of the journey is this video meant to be for? Is it for building awareness and conscience about the platform? Is it about people that already discovered and it's evaluating what I'm pretty much showcasing? Or they already evaluated and now they are building their second application, or they're already an existing users for a certain period of time? Or am I trying to scale these users that are already part of my community? Are they already using our platform and I want them to become advocates themselves? Or I want them to pay for a specific license, for an enterprise license or a business license? Again, going back to the specific stage of the journey is very important. The other thing is developers hate to be sold. Like, I've been a developer for more than 50 years, and I know that I don't like people reaching out to me and say, hey, we have this product. Would you like to pay for it? It's going to help all your problems. We don't like that. We like specific videos that are going to help us to solve our problems that are really high in value, accuracy, and it provides practical insights over superficial or overly promotional content. Because again, developers hate to be sold. So in general terms, I would say they're different because they have to be very technical depth and a very high accuracy. You have to have a good pacing and format, and we'll probably talk more about that. And it's important to keep relevance and practicality on those videos. Again, very different for any other type of audiences over there. Developers are very unique and so on. The videos have to be unique for this particular audience as well.
Anything to add to that, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit different approach on our side. Kevin is obviously a marketing genius, and he uses videos in a bunch of different ways to talk about products and programs and sort of the Appsmith brand generally. because our goal is to operationalize developer relations programs or even compliance, which is sort of our bread and butter, we're using video slightly differently. If you want to teach somebody how to do something, if you want to talk them through a complex process, if you want to make something easier, we think it's better to do it as a one-on-one communication in an asynchronous environment than it is to just send them a memo. And that we collectively understand, particularly younger developers, learned how to code on video, they use video and video tutorials to improve their skills, to level up, and certainly to talk to each other in a post-COVID world. And so why not take what we know to be sort of a softer, gentler, more efficient way to support developers' use of, whether it be a tool or navigation through a review process or even meeting and compliance standard, use video to bring them along. Our platform is sort of the byproduct of all of that expertise, of engagement, of giving people something to do, of driving home the learning cues and making sure proficiency and competency is our primary objective. We measure success based on how engaged our viewers are and how smart they are when they're done. We're not trying to sell a product, so we don't have to trip over that. We want to make sure that people are feeling better about the problem they're trying to solve than when they got there.
Totally. Yeah. We usually fall somewhere in between. Usually the videos we're creating are in incongruous with like the tutorials we're creating. So it's highly procedural, giving people multiple formats to digest the educational side of someone's documentation or how to use the actual service itself. So,
and I think that's the beauty of this conversation, because we have different perspectives like mine, which are very like focused on a product, and trying to grow in a specific use case or in a specific user base versus what Data Protocol is. And I think you're going to get amazing different point of views, and all these are going to get rich, valuable insights after this.
Exactly. That's sort of tease out my next question. So when it comes to creating videos for this dev audience, how do you sort of categorize or break it down into sub audiences? It's like, what are the subcategories of content you guys see in our space usually when it's specifically applied to video?
You want to go ahead, Jake?
Yeah, let me just, I'll start it, but you pick it up and run with it, Kevin, because this is much more your wheelhouse. For us, the personas that we use are based largely on why somebody's there in the first place. Did Meta send one of their developers through our program because they're having trouble with their privacy policy? Or did Circle send them because they have this new product that they're trying to teach people how to use the smart contract, right? The reason becomes the persona. The interface itself substitutes as a threshold for how technical the audience is, right? Whether you're a working heads and hands developer or you're sort of the product lead and you used to code, the interface itself, the thing that says, I see you, developer, this was built for you, this is not Docebo, this is not Coursera, this is something else, that is built for them. The content, though, is the byproduct of our expertise, which is getting things fast and giving them to people in a way that they can ingest it and use it. So operationalizing information. I had a teacher once that told me there's two types of smart people in the world: people that can make simple things sound complicated and people that make complicated things sound simple. We absolutely want to be the latter. Our entire mission is to make people smarter when they leave than when they got there.
That is certainly true. Making complex things look simple, it's a very complex task to do for sure. I will say that probably for my case is the same. What Jake mentioned about the user personas is key. Like if you don't just make a video and don't understand who that video is meant to be for. So it can be targeted by multiple things. For example, the experience level, you can target beginners, intermediates, or advanced developers. You could target by, again, going back to the developer stage, are they on the discovery, evaluation, learning, building, scaling? That's important to understand. Also, the primary focus technology, are they front-end developers, back-end developers, full stack, dev operations, infrastructure, tech leaders, or managers? This is going to drive a lot of the tone as well, depending on what they're using and what the type of developers or technology they're using. That's probably going to drive also the conversation. It could be as well by the community engagement. Are there active participants? Do they already know what we're talking about? Or they're just observers or first-timers who needs to understand the basics, and probably the communicative portion of your video is going to be very different. Also, by the consumption style, I like to tailor my videos for different type of consumption styles. I understand there are very task-oriented type of developers. We have continuous learners who like to have different stages or different videos divided into multiple pieces so they feel they're progressing. We have also passive consumers who are just watching. They're not actively using our product, but they like to watch because maybe in the future, there might have some type of use case that they will love to use our product. So again, all of those things are going to build this, let's say, developer 360 or user persona, different names, the same stuff. And that's going to drive how the video is going to be presented, communicated, delivered, and so on and so forth.
I love both those answers. I honestly ask this question no matter what we're talking about, whether it's documentation, written content, video, because I feel like every potential client or current client we're talking about always wants to know, just tell us, like, who should we be making this video for? How should we be doing it? I'm like, man, it depends. It all starts with, like, you've got to start with the research first. So on that note, how do you guys go about identifying the need for a client or for your own organization like Appsmith? Where does that research start for you guys?
So I can start there. Probably for Jake and Data Protocol is very different to my case. And if you're watching this, it might be different for your case. Just take it with a grain of salt, depending to what your type of developer relationships level is or type of product you're working for. But in general case, for me, again, we are a company startup product. We have a product and we're trying to get developers to use it. It's open source. So it's normally driven by OKRs. Our team, our DevRel team, have objectives and key results that are going to be influenced by product goals, metrics, and key performance indicators. It is a strategic process for us. So the way we typically approach it is, first, we ensure that any content we produce aligns to our company's OKRs. So these OKRs are shaped by the product's team goals, such as increasing user adoption, reducing churn, or driving engagement with a new feature that we just launched. So we rely heavily on data to identify where video content can make the most impact. So that includes analyzing user behavior, engagement metrics, user feedback, previous content we did before. So that means that if you are not tracking everything, or you're tracking mostly everything, you should be doing, because that's going to drive a lot of your decisions in general terms in the DevRel space. Also, we engage with our developer community. I mean, that's crucial. We actively listen to their feedback, their questions, and pain points to identify topics that resonate with them. Just to give a very brief example, like we were talking to our support team internally here at Appsmith, and we realized that we were getting a lot of questions about how to integrate Appsmith with APIs using OAuth 2. Like, we support OAuth 2, but users were struggling to do that because there's so many options. Like, where is the token going to be? Is it in the header or in the body? There's multiple options. So after talking to the support team, we realized that, hey, why don't we just do a little campaign on DevRel, few videos about how to integrate OAuth 2 with multiple platforms, the most famous ones. We're going to generate a lot of content on the community portal. And we afterwards saw a decline on the amount of support tickets going about OAuth 2 because they were having good video documentation explaining them how to achieve it in multiple providers with multiple use cases. So again, it's not just product. Also, you can talk to your support team. And again, collaboration with our departments. Also, we collaborate with the marketing team. They sometimes have campaigns where they're going to be, for example, doing a quarter launch. So it's not my goal, it's not the DevRel goal, but we support them on the live stream, recording some of the videos, editing them. So again, this is very particular to my case, but in general terms, I will say have OKRs. Even though your company does not have it, have your own quarter OKRs where you are able to track your progress. And if you actually achieve that progress, and also that's going to drive the next quarter OKRs, it's going to help you to actually achieve something that you can see progress onto.
Man, I love the focus. I feel like sometimes, I mean, SEO is important, but people get too caught up in it these days. And the focus on listening to your current user base, your power users, like those questions they're asking is a great source of content to be creating. We even had clients in the past that use it as an OKR. Like, how many customer service cases or questions or meetings are we solving via being able to share this video with them? It's great a way to measure that stuff. Jake, what's your personal take on that? I'm sure you have a very different perspective here.
I think we land in the same place, but we sort of start at a slightly different one. We have 15,000 monthly active users, so that we keep an eye on that churn, right? But they're not universal. It's platform agnostic, certainly to a degree, though a huge chunk of our more recent traffic is meta related, MetaQuest and developer for Facebook.com, because that's a huge chunk of the content that we've built. We now support end-to-end thousands of users that come through this process that are being supported as ostensibly managed partners inside this ecosystem. And so our metric of success drives who we're building for and the sort of the modality we use to get there. Not everything is video all the time. We make some really cool interactive guidebooks, sort of like a checklist book that lives on an account because everything's logged in, so that you can use that as a tracker, like an ongoing syllabus. We have badging and certifications that we use to create sort of an easy pass or a fast track for folks as they take the steps necessary to become a trusted developer. There's things like that. But we ultimately start from what is the best, most efficient, least bothersome way to get somebody from I have a problem to I feel confident moving forward from here. You can assume a certain level of engagement and knowledge base. If they're there, then they've encountered the problem and or think that this might be the solution, so you can take them in a couple of different directions. But we try to allow for, we're certainly biased towards video, but we allow for edge case of a shorter written version. We also use a lot of graphics and note-taking to fly in solutions so that we can multi-language, multicultural, give different experience levels. We have to account for all of those things because the outcome isn't persona by persona, it's holistic across the program for a client's needs.
Totally. I think that's sort of talking about the needs there. What are the main categories of dev-oriented videos, would you guys say? So what I mean by that is also, we've got a question here in the chat that I think leads in this too. They're asking more of like, how do you figure out what kind of like awareness style videos to execute versus we've been talking about like tutorial or highly educational types of videos early on here. What are sort of the main categories you guys see, and how are you applying those to your clients or your organization strategy?
Well, Kevin, what do you think about this? Product, skill, and engagement as sort of the three categories, right? It's like, we got this product, this is what we're doing, check it out. It's mostly marketing. A lot of it's about capturing audience. Skill is this how you, this is what you guys do a lot of, Clayton, but this is how you use this, is what you do. This is how you use it. You can find these on YouTube often because there's not much engagement. They're purely there for viewing and practice on your own. Exactly. And then there's the engagement pieces, like this is your community, this is where you belong, we've got your back, this is that kind of thing, and that's often behind a login wall. That feels like the three categories. Does that sound right, Kevin?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I will say we're aligned there.
I would totally agree. Like you said, we're each individually sort of focused on one of those three categories, which is sort of perfectly aligned. But it goes back to knowing your audience, right? Like what's your user base need right now? I guess a good question that I would like to ask personally, and something that it comes up a lot in our market and with our own personal webinars. There's typically, you're either an organization that's focused on enterprise, big organizations, big application, your product, or you're more open source or user-based. Do you see a big difference in how videos apply between those two different types of organizations or viewership?
I will say in general terms, no, because the structure is the same. Like you define certain goals, you have certain user personas, you have certain goals that you want them to achieve. That's what you're going to measure at the end. Like if you want, for example, that for this particular video, which is awareness-based, you want them to subscribe and try the product. If it's an open source product, you want, for example, for them to maybe download the Docker image or maybe to do some sort of installation in their machine or go to certain address and sign up for a free account. Like all of that is trackable, and you can trace all of the developer journey across the different stages. Now, again, it depends a lot on the type of DevRel focus that you are at, but probably the structure for your videos and the goals and how you're going to distribute them are going to be the same. Maybe the distribution channels are different. Maybe the type of audience is going to be different. Maybe the voice you're going to be using is going to be different. But again, the structure is the same. Like you had to have a good pre-production work. And that's something we'll probably talk about. I will say that for most of my videos, most of the work happens before the video is even recorded, before I even press record on the video, because I do a lot of investigation. Again, defining who this audience is going to be, what are the goals, what are the metrics, what are the CTA, do I have a way to measure this? Do I even have a way to measure? Sometimes you don't have that, so you have to build it. Then you're going to start planning your video, writing your script, or even trying what you want to step-by-step explain if it's an how-to video. Again, all of that happens on the pre-production work. And the most time, and this is something that Jake mentioned on our call that we have a few months ago, actually, which is like the most time you spend on pre-production work, probably more polished and shorter the video is going to be, because you spent a lot of time making it look easy. You probably digested the show tell that you're going to be using on your video. You probably have a shorter big opening. You probably spend time testing the step-by-step you want to test, and now it's going to be easier for you, so you have to struggle on the platform explaining how things are done. So again, I will say spending a good amount of time on the pre-production work is key. And then obviously distribution. I don't know if that's the case for Jake, because they have their own distribution platform and their customers go into their platform. But for me, in my case, I do have to spend a good amount of time where, all right, this video is good, but how does it get to people? Just publishing on YouTube doesn't automatically reach the audience. I have to find where these developers are talking. It could be certain groups on LinkedIn, or certain groups on Meetups, or certain groups on Discord. I have to join these groups and start engaging with some of them before I just go there and post my video there, and it's just going to be insane. It's going to be awkward, and it looks like I'm selling. Before I do that, I have to engage with them, understand their problems, their needs, etc. And then I can maybe showcase my video and tell them, hey, you want to try this out? It could solve some of the problems that we have been talking on this chat, or in this IRL, or on this specific Discord channel. Distribution is also a very important portion of the results of a video. Not just putting the video out there is going to get the results that you want. So again, all goes back to the pre-production stage, where I spend a lot of time, and it's going to probably drive the video production and post-production and delivery.
Perfect. And I think you're right. Like it's time to just start diving into like the actual production process, right? Because video is a quite the beast when it comes to executing correctly. And I'm sure we all have our different approaches to the planning stage along with the actual production stage of each. Like for us, it's almost simpler in a way, because we're often starting with already pre-written tutorials with our clients. So we've already know what task we're executing, the demo app and GitHub repo involved. We've already made the technical decisions, and then it's just applying that to a script along with what's being shared on screen and then executing that video. However, I expect there's a much more lengthy planning stage, and for good reason, when it comes to creating some of the more like DevRel oriented content or product focused content with both your styles. Could you guys dive into that a little bit more?
We subscribed, as Kevin was sort of alluding to, we subscribed to the Woodrow Wilson policy that if you want us to talk for an hour, we just need a minute. If you want us to talk for 10 minutes, we need an hour. If you want to talk for a minute, you need a month. You know, we spend, we know the numbers as well as anybody in terms of engagement after 2 minutes to 4 minutes, 4 minutes post. So if we can get a video to a tight 345, graphic heavy with lots of points of engagement, fly-ins and notes, we have a significantly higher engagement level. I saw these numbers, actually, Kevin, you and I might have spoken about this, but the average completion of a free enterprise video of between 2 and 4 minutes is 6%. So a relatively short video on Coursera, Udacity, even YouTube, etc., 6%. Our videos are at 78% complete. a big chunk of that is because we take a different approach. My head of content is an instructional designer by trade, and the writing that goes into it is about making people smart, but the platform does all the heavy lifting in terms of engagement. It gives you the prompts, it gives you the cues, it shows you what you need. And then the expertise that we've gleaned from our partners is much like what you're talking about, Clayton, where you've got the docs in front of you and you're turning them into a tutorial. We pick that stuff out of their brains and then put it into a script and then run it through and let the quality of the production take care of the rest. But the goal is we don't want people to look away, right? We don't want people to press play and walk away. So when we do a knowledge check, when we ask a question, the video stops. This is not like corporate compliance training. You can't turn it on and go make a sandwich. You have to sit there and finish and stay engaged. So if we have your attention, we're going to use it well. We're going to give you the notes. We're going to give you graphics. We're going to make it hurt less. When we started this process, my goal was to create a way that every developer could find the answers to complicated data management policy questions that they were going to have, and that every platform could engage and speak developer when they were pushing stuff out, whether it be, Facebook and the DPA, the data protection assessment stuff that they had come down from the FTC, or Google and their terms of services, or like the new stuff with TikTok. We wanted them to be able to give developers these tools without it hurting, without, as one developer said, I want the answer and I want it not to suck. That's all we were trying to do. And the more practice we got, the better we felt about using video as this lever. And then the uptick in video as a resource just took us the rest of the way. And now we know that the vast majority of developers prefer tutorials, skill ups, education, and support in video form. So this is where they're coming on that platform specific ask.
Perfect. What about you, Kevin? How do you typically go about it?
You circle back on the question. Like Jake mentioned so many stuff that I was just like,
he nailed it, to be honest. Jake did it perfectly. Just the planning and production phase. So like, how do you get started? How do you like actually organize what the content for the video, like scripting, everything that goes into the pre-production and then the actual production yourself there internally?
Yeah, again, the pre-production work is going to drive the decisions, and it's going to drive the length of the video. It's going to drive what type of strategies we're going to use. Just to give an example, and maybe we can share with the people, I can share the link on the chat, or maybe we can play it afterwards. One of the videos we launched last week was around a new feature that Appsmith is launching called Workflows. The feature doesn't matter for what we're going to be talking here. Long story short, we wanted to announce it and just get some beta users, closed beta users, to test the product, to engage with it. And that was it. I could just do a launch video. Hey, and a static awareness video. We just launched. We hear you. Here are some of the problems I understand you guys have. Here are some of the concerns you have. And here are some of the other competitors that are lacking on that. And so I could just do that video and put it out there. But I said, let's try to bring some of the storytelling techniques that I learned on film school. I have a degree and a pass on film production, and let's make a film. And so the first thing I said is, I'm going to be doing some characters. I'm going to be projecting the characters of a project manager, of a day-to-day in an agency, of a backend developer, front-end developer. And there are struggles with the sprints and with the project managers putting tickets on an active sprint, and the stakeholders trying to bring some of their ideas on things that should be locked, etc. Like just the day-to-day problems, showcase that into characters. And so I did a short film where I never really mentioned about the product itself. All I'm talking is about a specific use case where it's our day-to-day in an agency. And then that started to grow, and now we want to actually elaborate more on these characters. And now this is going to become a series called The Agency, where we're going to have seasons and episodes where we elaborate further on each of the different problems and thinking and everything of the journey for this specific users, the backend, the front end, the project manager, and so on and so forth. So we have to sometimes think outside of the box. Just don't record videos as everyone else is doing. Try to do something different from what everyone is going to be doing, and that's going to drive your production work. Also, there are multiple tools out there who can help you do things that you might not do before, thanks to AI, and maybe we can elaborate further afterwards on this. But if you feel like you don't have the knowledge to edit a video, there are some multiple tools out there that can help you. So just don't be afraid and try to record the things that are valuable for your audience, and then you can find a way to present it. But long story short, yeah, I have a script. The script is going to tell me the different type of shots that I want to do, or the different step-by-step that I want to do if it's a how-to video. And then when I have that, that's going to drive my production work. So I'm going to have my lights, my setup, my different shots. I record all of them. And then I go to my video editing process where I do my own video editing. You might have on your team another person who's going to be making the video editing process. Again, the script and the shot list and all of that work that you did on the pre-production is going to help them understand the message, the voice tone, the animations, who this video is for, even the age. Depending on their age of the developers you're targeting, the video is probably going to have a different pace. Older people can definitely support a topic that is going to be 3 minutes length. Like young people, they have their shorter span of attention. And if they don't have anything like zooming in and out or whoosh sounds or anything like that, they're just going to drop at 45 seconds. And we have seen that on our videos. It is a reality. And sometimes you will say, that's my style, or adapt or die. But on the other side, I will say, you have to understand your audience and try to tailor the videos for them. So again, that drives my editing and my distribution process, even which platforms are going to be posting that video, which format is going to have vertical or horizontal, and so on and so forth.
Totally agree. You touched on this at the end there, Kevin, and Jake, you've hit at this a lot. You guys are pros of this over there. Like, where's entertainment within this? Like, we obviously are all trying to educate or get a certain message across, but video length, like engagement within the video, how you're editing the video. We always joke, like, if a developer can't find your quick start guide, they're usually already on to the next product. Like, how are you guys making sure that the entertainment level is there to make sure you're holding attention within each of these audiences?
So we played around in the early days with different tones that bordered on silly, frankly. Like we would set dress a space and we would shoot it with like an A and a B cam, and we change line of sight, and then we'd edit in a way that, to Kevin's point, would keep people moving around. Now the truth is those videos were always longer because we didn't know what we were doing yet. And the process wasn't in a place where we felt like we could condense things. Some of those videos are 23, 24, 25 minutes long. They still do fine in terms of traffic, but not well, certainly. The thing that we learned second year, I guess, as partners started having more discrete problems to solve and we got better at condensing those things, is that the tone that you take has to reflect the subject matter, or the incongruity of it will bounce whoever's there, right? So we can't shoot it like a Wes Anderson movie and like do it like a Farley Brothers comedy. It has to be one or the other and stay there. And because so much of what we're talking about is fairly serious, we try to do it with sort of an office background on green screen with plates. We do a lot of what we call halves. So half the image will be graphic and highlight what you're talking about while a person stays on screen. But we also need the maneuverability to get the person off screen every once in a while, to edit around run-throughs on the script, to just give them a break, to give us a break from seeing this person. Sometimes we use talent from the partner, right? We go get the subject matter expert and we put them on camera. They're not actors. They're not trained in doing this. Many of them are incredibly good and they get better. But if you're using your hands like this, it's very distracting. And so we need to figure out what we can do on set, what we can do in prep, and then what we can do in post. But our goal is to make the subject matter match the tone. It doesn't have to be entertaining, it has to be engaging. We don't want people to leave being like, that was really fun. We want them to leave with the information that we set out to deliver to them, and for them to it can't hurt, right? It can never be like, that was such a drag. If we've done that, we wrote it poorly, we dressed it poorly, and then we posted it poorly. That's never happened. There's no videos on platform that are bad. There are many that are older that I would like to go back and redo all of it. But the sharpness of the scripting, sort of augmented with the engagement level of the platform itself, delivers an experience that, I mean, we joke all the time that that's the best thing on the internet. I really believe that when it comes to taking developers through complex soft skill stuff, I don't think there's anybody that does it better than us.
I love your point there. We always, I know you guys agree with this, is like use experts to communicate the thing you want to sound like an expert in, and rather than there, you could take the path of taking someone who's very video oriented but doesn't have the knowledge. We've always gone the other way around of like, take the expert and we'll either teach them or educate them on how to write or present better in video. Like but you got to have that trust in this audience, or they're already gone before the video's even at the 10-second mark.
And this audience doesn't care. Like they're not dialing in to see, the weather person on CBS. They're trying to get the information. You need to not make it distracting, and you're good to go.
Yep, agreed. What's your take here, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree with everything Jake mentioned. Again, probably the approach might be a bit different for our case because we do have to find some ways to attract new developers which already have a preconceived idea of low code. And that's very unique to our platform. It might not be the case for your company. In our case, developers who come from a background of writing code themselves, they have a preconceived idea of low code is bad. I don't have control of everything. These tools are great for POCs or for small university tasks, but it's not for the real world. So part of the education and awareness that I do is transforming that concept. And if your company or your product has that sort of background on it, you might have to do more awareness work versus other products that are well established, that have a larger developer community who people get there and they want to learn. They're eager about it. In our case, not everyone is eager about it. If they hear about Appsmith, and again, this is a very particular use case for us, but if you're struggling with getting your message out there because they're pushing back, so probably you might need to do more work on the awareness portion. And the way we do that is sometimes doing strategies like developer entertainment with short films, with fun content, with memes, or sometimes even some sort of tractional content. For example, I remember one TikTok video that we published who got a bunch of views, and it's a very small video of a developer just singing, and we see on the screen that it's using Appsmith, and then there is another developer just like struggling and he typing really hard and sweating, and it's just a comparison of using low code versus writing all the code by yourself. And so on the comments there were a lot of like conflicts. They were like, oh, screw it, I'm not going to use low code again. I want to have control of my own code. And people are even going to say like, oh no, that's for sassies, we don't use low code, only men write on their own code and stuff like that. And then you get the conversation started out of that traction that you're having. Like, have you tried Appsmith? Did you know that it's open source? Did you know that you have control of the outcome? Did you know that you can self-host it on your infrastructure? It's not a SaaS tool that you lose control of your data. And so people start to generate awareness out of that traction because everything they had preconceived about low code that were changing. So again, it goes back to the pre-stage work. Like, if you know your audience, what they have preconceived, what are they thinking, what type of trajectory they have, all of that is going to also drive what type of video you're going to be making. Maybe sometimes you don't need to spend too much time on awareness because people are getting to your platform. They just want to grow and they want to learn. All right, so let's focus on doing that pretty well. Your message and the way you convey are going to be different. But if you have to do this type of awareness videos, sometimes developer entertainment works. Other stuff that I remember we did at Appsmith is like live debugging. I set up some pre-generated not working scenarios, and I got people on stage and say, hey, can you help us fix this? It could be a run SQL syntax, and if they help us fix it, we send them swag. It's just a way to make developer learning, more entertainment, and engaging. But again, depending on your audience, again, you might want to spend too much time on that, or maybe you don't want to spend too much time on that because it's not necessary.
I feel it. How are you guys balancing the promotion distribution effort? So you've talked a little bit about short form versus long form, the various areas you can place it. Do you find repurposing video content useful and sort of chopping it up in different ways for these various distribution channels? Or do you think it's more efficient to create specific videos for each? And then just like, what are your typical distribution channels that you guys are using yourself? Would love to hear your take on that. Maybe Jake, you start us off.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's applicable to us. I mean, we are terrible at marketing, first and foremost. Like we've been really bad at it historically. We didn't do it for a long time, and then once we started doing it, we weren't really sure who we were targeting or what we were trying to solve, because we're not marketing to developers. Our organic audience is not the core. You are referred to us by a platform, by a customer, by people who pay us to build the content, by Meta and Circle and Slack and Google. Like they send their developers to our platform to get information that they want them to have, but that developers also need.
Good point.
And so you could, I guess you could spend $1 million in various channels building a community, but you'd just be duplicating what they've already got. And so we call it a BYOD model, bring your own developer model, that's where our user base comes from, our growth comes from. The majority of what we're trying to do in terms of user acquisition is on the channels of our customers. So developers that come to Meta go through developer.facebook.com. That's all of their onboarding stuff. We built videos to support their dev docs that are embedded inside those dev docs. They're not even on our platform. We call it video as a service. We just produce it, all the horsepower, et cetera, but none of the platform. They live over there. That stuff is an entree that drives traffic into the platform that enables them to get the rest of the stuff. It also gives Meta access to all the attestation data, the engagement data, the time on, the videos per, and then our goal is to aggregate all of the pass rates or the time on and the efficiency versus anybody who didn't take it as a proof of how effective this is. None of that has anything to do with Discord or TikTok or any of the channels that Kevin uses really, really well. Sometimes I wish it did. Like sometimes I wish we could just go like pull on those levers. Instead, we gotta go ask the people that are paying us to do our jobs if they'll help us do our jobs better.
So it goes back to how we're all each individually very in our own lanes with the types of video we create and distribute. Kevin, I know you've got a very different take here. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, totally. So I will say we do have certain different social media platforms for distribution. One of the things that I try to achieve is, again, in the pre-production stage, understanding where we want to distribute these contents and where these people are at, even if they are on physical events. It might be the best case scenario to showcase in a specific portion of a video or a demo on a physical event, and that might be a distribution channel for a piece of video. Again, not everything is just YouTube. We do a lot of redistribution and actually trying to do more because it does have a good conversion rate. From a lengthy video, for example, a webinar that I did with my fellow DevRel Joseph and Appsmith, where he's explaining how to build maybe a Gantt chart with Appsmith bringing data from Databricks. I would like to repurpose that video to make vertical videos for social media that has subtitles, because everyone on social media is muting their sound, which isn't strange, but it happens. 80% of the videos watched on social media are muted, so subtitles are key. Where you have fast transitions and B-roll or floating elements, because unfortunately that's the way it is on those type of platforms. So I've been using some tools for that. For example, I can mention Opus Clip, which again, although I know how to do it, I don't want to spend 2 days of my work just downloading a video we already did, or use repurposing that video in vertical format, aligning my face and the face of Joseph and the screen he was sharing. Like, that takes a lot of time. And you can use tools out there that does that, repurposing content, adding B-roll, adding subtitles, and then you will drive people to watch the full-length video. Again, also that helps us to drive some of the connections that I'm trying to achieve. Part of my job at Appsmith is trying to bring partnerships with other companies. Appsmith is at the end a local platform that serves as a front end, and we support multiple backends. So my job is just go out there and talk to MongoDB, talk to Microsoft, to Databricks, Neon, Supabase, etc. Like all of these different data sources that people can bring their data. I try to reach out to them, and one way I do it is, hey, we have this tutorial where we talk about how to bring Databricks into Appsmith. Would you like to maybe have a joint collaboration? Here are some shorts you can already put on your social media if you want to. Like, I try to bring the conversation with some actionable and tangible task for our conversation, and that's part of my job as well. So I will do a lot of joint collaborations with people, and we will build a solution together. That's also one of the keys that we try to do at Appsmith, showcasing use cases. So long story short, yeah, try to use as much of the social media platforms out there if your audience is there. Again, going back to defining your user persona and the developer journey is key. If your user persona is a CTO, I don't think it's going to be on TikTok. It's probably going to be more on LinkedIn, trying to find use cases that reduces their costs, the licensing costs, or they're trying to find use cases similar to them to achieve their goals. So you have to meet them there and have a tone and a voice conversation that is more professional if your audience is a CTO. But if your audience is any developer that might be on the user persona range that you define, then go there and try to talk to them.
Totally. All right, we just hit the 45-minute mark. We've got a couple questions here. We'll dive into the answers. Then if we have a few minutes left over after these questions, we'll talk about trends that we see on the horizon. But to get things started off here, a question from one of our audience members: how do you go about ideation for building awareness specifically? So, for example, YouTube gives us suggestions for keywords to target based on previous videos that we've published. Should we just go after those keywords and phrases that YouTube suggests, or should we be a bit more strategic when coming up with awareness topics? This might be more up your alley, Kevin. You got a take here?
Yeah, I would say, again, going back to defining your goals, if part of what YouTube is going to tell you about those keywords also helps you achieve those goals, then I will say yes. Obviously, listening to your metrics is important, and taking action on those metrics is important. For example, one of the things that we did is that we were doing a lot of live videos, live coding, and we were making videos that shouldn't be live. We were making them live. And what we realized is that the way that the YouTube algorithm works is that by using the different tags and keywords that you can put on a video and using the end screen of other videos with the same tag, it will be a good source for our video. So I realized that some of the videos were getting a big chunk of views from another video with a similar topic that appear on the end screen or appear on the recommendation or watch now recommendations from the YouTube algorithm. And I can't do that from live videos. So yes, sometimes you have to find some of the metrics results and put them as part of your workflow along with your OKRs. Again, changing is important, and taking some of those recommendations from YouTube algorithm is definitely important. So yeah, I will say try to have ideation from those specific metrics, and also use tools like, AI. Try to use AI to define or generate some ideas for your awareness portion that is tailored to your OKRs and that is tailored to the metrics and keywords that YouTube is telling you.
It's a tool in the toolbox, right? Like, your ideation should be coming from a few different sources. It's not something to ignore, but it shouldn't be the only thing you're paying attention to either. Like we've talked in the past, like feedback you're getting from power users, and what are your common questions that are popping up from your audience? What are the Discord, subreddit, Slack communities saying? That, it's just, you got to have a full toolbox to do this effectively. The follow-up question dives into OKRs, and you're sort of leading into this. So let's say OKRs installs. How do you tie that to video performance? Looks like they've been trying to do it via installs in the same time frame as the YouTube views, but it's hard to really get that firm connection there. How have you been managing this? Either of you, if you want to dive into that.
Yeah, I can say something very briefly. If you see video from another standpoint, you can also see them as a reward. People are going to exchange their time for something as a reward. So one thing that I noticed that I did a change and it helped on our YouTube videos is you don't want them to spend 2 minutes or 3 minutes on a video to get the reward. So one of the things that I start to do in our videos is in the first 10 seconds, very briefly and fast, I showcase what the reward is. Like if you download the pip install, going back to the question from Martin, what are they getting from doing that? What's the end goal? So normally I try to do in the first 10, 15 seconds, here's the end result. This is what your reward is going to look like. It's impressive. Now stay on the video and go through that. I saw an increase on the amount of time, of the average time that people stay on the video, because they don't have to, hey, I'm Kevin, this is what we're going to be building, here's the technology. No, they have the reward immediately. Here's what you're going to get. Here's the end result. Wow, mind-blowing. I want to do that. I'm going to stay on the video. And that's going to help also drive your actionable to the CTA. If your call to action on the video is people to do a pip install or your package, then probably they're going to start doing it as they're watching the video because they saw the end goal. They saw the reward at the very beginning. They don't have to stay 2 minutes on how to download the pip, how to integrate it into your packages system. Like, that's just too much time. They don't have that time. They want the reward immediately. So that's one change that I did that it helped me. And again, go back to understanding not only the video audience, but also the goals and the metrics. If your conversion metric is going to be signups or activation of a package, you gotta give it quickly. You gotta give it quickly, and then you can explain further, or you can give more resources like, were you stuck doing the pip install? That's fine. Here's our resources. In other video, we're going to show a case step by step. But if you give them that, let's say, I don't know, it's not correct, but that dopamine shot very quickly, they're going to stay on the video longer for sure.
Totally. All right, last question here. We've seen strong success from long-form sponsored tutorials where tech is included as a tool in the toolbox. What recommendations do you have to achieve the next level of step growth? I feel like that's probably highly dependent upon your product, your audience, the research you're seeing. I would love to give that user a good answer there, but that's really going to be dependent upon, I guess, how you're seeing the viewership and the direction they're taking. I'm sure you guys agree there.
Yeah, I might also add to that, Clayton, that there's, in terms of formatting, right, you can take a little bit of what Kevin was just talking about and tease out the value prop early on. Make those videos more digestible so that they're incremental. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do? Long form is tough if you don't know where the story is going to take you, right? Like, here's a 26-minute video on this. Okay, great. But where do I find the thing that's a use case applicable to the problem I'm trying to solve? You can't really always let people choose their own adventure in terms of the order in which they take things, but you could certainly give them a syllabus that enables them to inform that decision making. I have a little bit of an advantage because on platform we can lock the order of things as they're seen. We can say you have to watch this before you watch that. We can increase or decrease the length of the videos, but we measure success based on engagement and competence. But longer term, 30, 60, 90, 6 month, we look at, did it work? So if it's it's privacy policy piece, or it's a DPA or a compliance flag, or if it's just maintaining a zero non-compliance policy for Plaid, for example, right? We want to help them achieve this goal. Failure looks like a flag or an escalation or a problem. We want to catch everybody and put the noise of mistakes out of the way so that any bad actors or intentional misuse has a lantern hung on it. So it's easy for us to measure success because we have real-time data in a login state always.
I totally agree on that. Every once in a while we'll get a client that comes to us that wants to have like a 25-minute tutorial or like a 3,000-word ebook. And it's like, let's break that up, and then you've got the opportunity to link out to all those other tutorials. Helps a lot with like user engagement, SEO. Like, we can make this, like we were saying before, if dev can't find your quick start guide, they're usually running for the hills. Like, assume a certain level of intelligence, but give them the opportunity to go learn about that step if they don't know how to do it. You could say, hey, here's what we did. If you need to understand how to do that, go check out this video. There's lots of opportunities to abbreviate that stuff.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jake is Jake is a great example of condensation. Like what takes me 4 minutes to explain, Jake said it in a minute, even well put it, and the result is the same. So it's something that takes time to practice. Like he's a master on that portion, and I'm still struggling and trying to be better at that. But yeah, get the most out of your explanation and your words. You can achieve the same results with less word, but it's something that you need to put in practice and exercise.
Don't sell yourself short, Kevin. Nobody's watching our videos for entertainment value.
We said it's for engagement, not entertainment, right? People are coming here to learn things. It's
That's right.
We had a client a while ago that asked us for content that sounded like a Rick and Morty episode. I'm like, man, A, we would never be able to do that. B, like that's not why they're here. They're not here to laugh. They're here to like learn how to use your product at the end of the day. Guys, we're down to the last 4 minutes. I don't think that's a worthy amount of time to get into a fresh topic today. So I think I'm going to call it today and just thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate you. If you ever need help or guidance in the video, please check out us at Draft.dev or Jake over there at Data Protocol. And just generally, you should follow Kevin on LinkedIn. He is a boss when it comes to this stuff. If you just want to learn how to do DevRel right, give him a follow on LinkedIn. We'll share this video recording with everyone in the coming days. We'll get an edited copy posted on YouTube and send it out to all the attendees. Otherwise, thank both of you guys for joining today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the mention. And also, tomorrow I'll be testing something different. Let's see how it goes. But I wrote a song. I started to say, why don't we compose a song and use that as an awareness tool? So tomorrow I'm going to launch the first original song for DevRel. And let's see how that goes.
Plays the guitar in the background.
Yeah. It's time to get it out of there.
Get feel that. Thank you guys again. See y'all later. Have a good one.
Take care, Jake. Thank you, Clayton.
Take it.